Hello, my name is Tyler Duffy, and today I'll be analyzing Drew Peterson's swing, who is a 14 handicap. At first, I looked at Drew's grip, stance, and posture. I looked at his grip, which I thought was okay. His right hand, the right triangle on his right hand, was pointing right to his right shoulder. His posture was good. It was maybe a little bit hunched over. And his stance, the ball was too far forward in his stance, and his hands were back. So we put the ball back in his stance, and we put his hands forward because he tended to chunk the ball. I proceeded to go over to Drew and give him a light push, in which he then fell back. I realized that all of his weight was actually on the heels of his feet rather than the balls of his feet. I explained to him how hard it is to make an athletic move to the ball, or in any sport, if your weight is on your heels. I then focused on Drew's takeaway. I realized that the first move that Drew took on his takeaway was kind of a big turn inside. And once he did get to the top of his swing, that he actually started to stand up instead of staying in his posture. I saw this because I started to look at his head and I saw a lot of movement. When Drew got to the back of his topswing, I did realize that his back leg was actually almost completely straight. And he was almost coming out of posture and lifting up. And then on his downswing would come down hard with his body almost to try to compensate for standing up. I realized I needed to distinguish 3 key points with Drew. The first was posture, the second, takeaway, and the third, rotation. For posture, I realized that he was coming up or standing up on his backswing. And his back right leg was straight. So I emphasized to Drew that it was extremely important for him to keep his weight on the balls of his feet and his back right knee bent. I then grabbed a club and put it on his head, straight on, and made him swing to kind of show him that it was how to stay in his posture throughout the swing. The second was takeaway. I saw that Drew was kind of coming too far inside on his takeaway and then trying to compensate for it by coming a little bit over the top to get back on plane. So I did a little drill with Drew where I put the ball behind his club face or club head and had him rotate back towards me straight back to get him back on plane. The last thing I emphasized to Drew was that when he did rotate to the top, he's very much past parallel. And his first move was his upper body going over the top. I realized in Drew's biggest misses, this was at its worst. He would come severely over the top, and the ball would then push right and fade. I've emphasized that he needed to come back much less than where he was. I think that this was a huge factor because a lot can go wrong when you go much past parallel. I then emphasized to him that the golf swing starts with the hips. After the hips is upper body, arms, and then hands. I don't really think he understood that at first because he was rotating first with his upper body, then his hips, and then coming down very steep. Lastly, Drew tended to hit the ball high, and most likely that was because of his steep angle of attack. His misses were fat to the right and fading. I think it was fat just because when he tried to go over the top, he tried to catch up with his hips and then found that he was very much behind the ball. Relative to his club path, his club face was open, so he was coming over the top with an open club face, so it was a push fade. I think overall, I did well. I just feel I could have focused more on these 3 areas. I can do better on focusing on these and maybe giving the student more drills to work on at home or at the time. And I learned that teaching is hard. It's going to take me a while, and I'm ready to do that.
Yeah.